First of all, I want to say that I feel like Halloween can be really scary for kids. And that's not because of the costumes and decorations. It's because you're going out in the middle of the night, walking around far from home, talking to strangers at every doorstep. Of course, it was still a fun holiday that everyone would look forward to, but I think there was a common uneasiness deep beneath it all. Anyways, when I was a kid, I would too get a weird feeling sometimes. It rarely ever happened, but I remember every time that it did. I'd be playing outside, just going about my day, when I come across a path that I'd never seen before. It was totally empty, and I couldn't tell where it led. I would suddenly realize that I had wandered away from whoever was looking after me, and I was completely alone. For a brief moment, it was just me and this empty path in front of me. In that moment, I would be completely overcome with emotion. I can't define it as positive or negative, just that it felt important. Those moments always stuck with me, but I still don't know why. Now, I'm only explaining this because it directly ties to what I'm about to describe. See, back in elementary school, there was a popular story that kids would pass around on the week of Halloween. As the story goes, you shouldn't go out too long trick-or-treating, because eventually, you'll reach something you're not meant to see. A road at the edge of town. It was never described in any consistent way, just that you'll know it when you see it. They say this road is a portal to another dimension, one where everything is slightly different, like a bizarro world. Once you go down the road, you can never go back. Obviously, this story really struck a chord with me, especially because that feeling came most often in the fall when the weather was moody. For a while, it took a lot to keep that off my mind every Halloween, but I eventually got over it and it rarely crossed my mind after that. So, fast forward to 2014, I'm 11 and going out to trick-or-treat in my stormtrooper costume. I met up with my next-door neighbor, who was also my best friend at the time. For the sake of anonymity, let's call him James. It's me, James, and two other friends from school. We go around the neighborhood, occasionally getting checked in on by my parents, who were going around with my little brother. We hit all the usual spots, making sure to visit the houses that always give the best candy. After an hour or two, we'd stopped at every house we knew, but being in the oldest grade at our elementary school, basically full-grown adults, we all feel confident enough to push our borders a bit. So, after James calls his parents to make sure they're cool with it, we check out some new streets. From what I can remember, we found some good houses, but nothing that exciting. About 30 minutes later, we are at the end of a cul-de-sac, and everyone's getting pretty tired. So we start talking about heading back. That's when I see something weird. It's a gravel trail leading up a hill nearby. Normally I would want nothing to do with something like that, but I was suddenly overcome with curiosity. I ask my friends if they want to go check it out, but everyone feels too tired to walk up the hill, so, against my better judgment, I tell them I'll be back in a minute and make my way over. I reach the top of the hill, and that's when I see it. The trail keeps going, leading straight into the pitch-black woods. I get that same feeling, stronger than ever before. In that moment, I had every reason to turn back, but I just couldn't. Without even thinking, I keep going down the trail. following it as it twists and turns deeper into the forest. All I remember is the dead silence and the silhouettes of the trees against the night sky. Before I knew it, I was back at the entrance. I must have gone in a full loop without realizing it. Whatever trance I was in faded away, and I made my way back down the hill. I expected to get an earful about how long I was gone, but my friends didn't say anything about it. We just went back, watched a movie together, and called it a night. I didn't think much of it at the time, but thinking back on it now, I realized that was the same time when things started changing in my life. I don't want to get too personal, but I've dealt with a lot of things that I shouldn't have had to at that age. Sometimes I feel like nothing's ever been the same after that night. Not only that, but that was the last time I ever got that strange feeling. I've never had it since. I've also never heard that same Halloween story again. But that could just be because people felt like they were too old for it at that point. Strangest of all, everyone that I've told about this has had a similar story, and I don't know what to make of that. It's a long shot, but maybe this is a place that none of us are from. We all came here at some point, walking down that same path. I try not to get too hung up about it. Whatever the case is, I'm here now, and I might as well make the best of it. I suggest you all do the same. So please, enjoy the season, and everyone after it. Wishing you all a happy Halloween. Bucket.